republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. It is Monday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho, and we are bunkered down here with a wind warning for the next 3 days. I'll tell you what, it's been quite the spring here in southern Idaho. It's been a true spring. Wind, rain, snow, freezing temperatures again, and every now and then we'll have 70s and 80s, and then that disappears, and you would think we were, it was fall and we were headed into the winter again, but soon enough, that'll get straightened out. Just thought I'd hop on here today. I owed you guys a podcast. I meant to do one yesterday, but me and my guest had a guest planned. We had some troubles, and he was unable to make it, so I will get him on schedule for, coming up soon. So I thought I had a show that I've been kind of trying to put together for you. I've been kind of collecting some audio clips, and it's a show that I don't think it's probably not going to be get the best feedback, I would imagine. But I'm going to do it anyhow because it's my podcast, and I'll kind of explain why I'm doing what I'm doing here exactly. But I did want to start off. I usually give an update on the classes and everything that we have going on. Classes have been busy, scheduling them around the cold and the weather and the windy days. I got together, and me and Magnum, he helps me out with some rifle classes and such, and we've been going through, and we are putting together some more rifle classes. We're putting together a practical rifle, practical handgun defense class. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to involve a rifle class, a handgun class, and then we're going to combine those together to where, the everyday average Joe, right, is going to be able to use their handgun and their rifle in a practical manner. When I say practical manner, I mean for home defense and defense of their family. We're going to teach them how to manipulate that rifle, how to manipulate that handgun, how to get the most out of them, and then with that combo class, we're going to bring them in and show them how to transition between the two. So this will be kind of fun. I know Magnum swung by the other day, and I know a little bit of rifle stuff. I'm not as well versed in it as Magnum is. So he's going to be teaching the rifle portion of the classes, and I'll be helping out and whatnot, and I'll teach the handgun portion. But he came by on Saturday, and I pulled out the rifle, and he was teaching me some stuff. We were going over some stuff, so I'm pretty excited. I'll be honest with you. It's more fun than I thought it was. It really is. I'm still a handgun guy. That's where I would consider myself, but it's way more fun than I thought it would be. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it some more myself, and learning how to teach it and go in that direction, because it kind of just opens up a whole new world. Here I have 2 or 3 rifles, ARs, an AR style rifle in my gun safe, and yet I don't use them. I don't shoot them. I mean, every now and then my son will say, "Hey, I want to shoot it," and I'll get him out, and here's a handful of shells, bang, 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 bang. Okay, let's put it away. We're done for the day, right? That's my, it's just to what extent that I actually use my rifle, use my AR-15. So this is kind of, I kind of look forward to this. This is pretty fun. I did put up a beginner's rifle class that I posted up on social media today. Again, if you're on social media, follow on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot, and you can see what we're doing and see the classes that we got coming up. And I also put together another firearms class. This is going to be a defensive shotgun, and we won't be doing that one until August. I look forward to that as well. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. Something new, something out of the box, something that you don't or can't really find in this area. So it'll be fun. I look forward to that as well. So if you're interested in anything like that, keep an eye out on the Facebook page. In fact, I opened up all the registrations today, but by tomorrow, or most of the registrations today, by tomorrow, I'll have them all opened up and everyone can see the list, and you can go down and you can check it out. You can get signed up for them, get registered for them. Now, most of these are kind of a limited type, it's limited to a certain amount of students just because of range size and safety and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. And if it fills up and they're really popular, we'll have to look into doing some more. So I do look forward. Look forward to all this. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Now I have got a quick update for you, a range report. So Friday, I was doing my radio show, and I'm sitting there. And I kind of co-host it with another guy who has a gun store. And I'm listening to him, and he's all talking about, I knew they'd come out, right? We're talking about the Canic, right? The new Canics, the TTI Combat. So that's a Terran Tactical, signature. They got his little flair and his little touches on it. Canic. It's a 9mm. And, it's out there. Like, there's not that many of them right now from what I hear. There's not that many. In fact, on Gunbroker, it's really hard to find any locally. And on Gunbroker, they're going for anywhere from up to $1,600. $1,600, for that gun, right? It's supposed to retail somewhere for right around 8 or 9. I kind of look at it and it's like, Terran Tactical. I'm not a big Terran Tactical fan. So I didn't think much of it. Now I know the Cajun Cowboy is looking for one, right? So as I was doing the radio show, the guy that co-hosts with me, he jumps on there and he's like, "Hey, we got one of these. We had them up on Gunbroker. Something happened. The cell fell through, whatnot. We had like 3 of them. So I've got one in the store right now." And I just kind of perked up a little bit, and I grabbed my phone. I'm texting Cajun Cowboy. I said, "Get down there and get it." He opens at 10. Get down there and get it. And I couldn't get a hold of him. Tried to call him after the show. Couldn't get a hold of him. But I double checked, and I asked the guy. I said, "So this is in your store right now?" He goes, "Yep. We open at 10. I said, "How much?" He's like, 900. It was 900 something. I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yep." I said, "That is the price. That's not like it's on Gunbroker. I'm going to go in." He goes, "Nope, it is physically in the store right now." So I didn't have anything to do. I had a little time to kill. So I headed over there and I waited in line. I was the first one there, and I had to wait there for about 45 minutes till they opened. And meanwhile, I'm continually trying to get a hold of the Cajun Cowboy. And I was like, "Come on, man. You want this gun? You want this gun? I've got one located. This is now or never." And I couldn't get a hold of him. He wasn't responding. So store opens. I walked in, and before I knew it, I said, "I want the Canic. I want the TTI Combat Canic." And it was sitting right there on the front counter. And after signing my life away and spending not too much, I didn't spend the $1,600. I got it for right around $925 or something like that. I walked out of the store with this new elite, new elite Canic. So now, thoughts on this? I like Canics. Canics are good guns. I'm not a big fan of Terran Tactical, so I'm like, when I bought it, I was kind of like, let's see what this thing is all about. Let's see what the differences are. First of all, it comes in this big gun box, this big gun case that is absolutely massive. And what's in it? The regular Canic tools, stuff like that. But it also comes with this coin. Is this like I don't know, challenge coin or something that says it's a Terran Tactical, yada yada. I don't really care about that. I really don't care about that, the coin or anything like that. Now the big thick carrying case that it came in is pretty cool. It's almost like a straight up Pelican case. Like, it's pretty nice. I kind of liked that. Now this firearm, it'll hold up to 8. The mags will hold 18 rounds. Comes with 2 magazines. They've messed with the trigger just a little bit, not enough that I notice a whole lot of difference. What I did notice, they changed the color scheme up, which is way better. because it's kind of modeled. Well, it's modeled after the Rival, so the color scheme is better than the Rival, and they've messed with the grip a little bit, which it totally really improves the gun. It takes a good gun and really improves it. Now, I took it out and I shot it. And it shot like all the other Canics. I need to put more rounds through it, honestly, before I make a full report. But as of right now, my first impressions of it was, it's a Rival. It's a different colored Rival with maybe a little bit grip texture change. That's essentially it, right? I mean, I bought a fancy Rival. I bought the best Rival that they have out there right now. I spent an extra, let's say, $100, $150 over what a regular Rival would cost. And probably not even that much. Let's just say $100. I spent $100 over what a regular normal Rival would cost, and I got a big case, and I got the Terran Tactical seal of approval, right? And that's what I got. Was it worth it? Yeah, sure, it was probably worth it. Does it live up to the hype? No. Would I pay $1,600 for it? No. Maybe as a collector's aspect of it, I would. But I don't get a gun and then not shoot it. So, I'm going to keep this gun. That's the first thing that I was asked was, are you going to keep it? You don't really sound like you like it or super impressed. Are you going to keep it? No, I'm going to keep it because I've always wanted a Canic. I've thought about buying them in the past. And at this point, I just look at it that I saved and waited, and I got the best Canic that was out there. I got the overpriced Rival is what I have in my hands here, or the overpriced Rival. I'm not disappointed. I probably wouldn't pay any more for it than what I paid, because I just don't think it totally lives up to the big hype. But it is what it is. It's a nice gun. I'm not disappointed. I mean, it shoots like any other Canic. It's got a fantastic factory trigger, so there you go. And it looks cool. I mean, I'll post them. I've already posted some pictures. I didn't really point out what it was. Oh, it does have a little compensator on it as well, which I'm not sure that does anything for it, but just looks. It looks tactical. I think that's what it does. It doesn't really do anything for me. So there you go. There's my report on it. Go out and buy one if you want. Maybe if you bought it and you didn't shoot it and you left it sealed up in the case in a few years, I mean, I think the thing's going to either increase in value or at the very least it'll hold its value. And that's one of the reasons why I bought it, because I knew that if I went out and shot 50 rounds or decided I didn't like it, I would, at the very least, I'd make my money back off it, if not a little bit more. So that's kind of why I got it, but not disappointed, not sad. It's a slick looking gun, and it shoots as good as any other Canic. So there you go. I ended up with my fancy gun. I also let's see. Sorry, I'm allergies. It's that time of year. Wind's blowing like crazy. Constantly have to clear my throat here. So a couple things I wanted to bring up before I get into the meat of this whole podcast, right? The controversial part of this podcast, because that's what it's going to be today, is a little controversial. I am sure. So I was listening to someone talk, and they are somewhat of an instructor, a local instructor, and he came out publicly and he said that he didn't think that optics were good for concealed carriers. Now, this guy is 100% always talking about, he's totally saying the opposite of what I say, right? So, I mean, this doesn't surprise me, but it kind of does surprise me to a certain extent, because he's like, optics aren't good for concealed carriers. So maybe I thought that a while back, but this guy, I don't think he really believes that. I'm not sure why he brings that up, but anytime you can get something to help benefit you as a carrier, I'm why not, right? Now, like I've always said, and I've said in the past, and I'll keep saying till the day I die, an optic does not take the place of the fundamentals, right? You still need those fundamentals. You still need to know how to use iron sights. You still need to know how to grip it, how to stand, how to press that trigger. That does not take place of those fundamentals. You still have to learn those fundamentals. Another thing I wanted to bring up is in a couple of my classes, lately. Well, it's been happening for quite a while, and I think I just kind of really kind of honed in on it because I think I'm hearing it more and more regular. There is, I get these shooters come in, and they're relatively new, and maybe they've taken a class before, or maybe their son was in the military, or their son or their cousin's uncle's brother's nephew is a shooter of some kind. They come in and we start going over the fundamentals, and one of the questions they ask me is, well, I can't shoot very well because I can't line up the sights because I was told I have to shoot with both eyes open. I have to shoot with both eyes open. And my statement is, yes, you should learn how to shoot with both eyes open, but that's not something you're going to pick up overnight. It's not something that I even want you to do in today's class. Oh, really? They're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, don't do it. I said, close your non-dominant eye and shoot like that. We're not working with both eyes open unless you can just naturally do it and you're good at it. Maybe you've practiced. Maybe it's just something that comes easy to you. Then that's a different matter. But I see people shooting and they're missing. They're doing everything else right. And then I find out that it's because I'm shooting with both my eyes open because I was always told I needed to. You're told you needed to, but they failed to tell you that you needed to train to do it. It's not something you just pick up all of a sudden because you're shooting and you're like, I'm going to start shooting both eyes open right now, because you're going to be inaccurate as crazy. And that's not something you need to start. Quit listening to people in your life. If you're brand new to firearms, quit listening to people in your life that are firearm centric, you come to me. If you trusted them to teach you, you would have them teach you how to shoot, honestly. But you come to see me, and I'm going to help you learn how to shoot, and I do appreciate that. But these people come in, and everyone wants to show off a little bit, right? And you need to do this, and you need to do that. And my time in the military said, you need to do that. Well, this ain't freaking boot camp for your 62-year-old mother. Like, she just picked up a gun. She's just learning how to shoot. Don't steer her down the wrong path. You have to start with the fundamentals. I don't care what your law enforcement taught you. I don't care what your military taught you. Everyone has to start at square one. Everybody. Okay? That's just common sense. You start at square one and you keep moving up the ladder as you go, and you develop those fundamentals. You develop those skills. That's how we do things. Okay, as an instructor, it's super frustrating when someone comes and, I'm working with, so-and-so says this. Well, so-and-so said I have to do this. Well, so-and-so's not here, and if you trusted them, you wouldn't be here. If you trusted that they would be able to teach you correctly, you wouldn't be here. So there you go. That's my little rant on that today. Pulling up my list here to see what else. I'm going to get right into the meat of this topic today, and I got to figure out how to word this and how to set this up. So this is going to be kind of a touchy subject because it has to do with political stuff. Has to do with the president of the United States, and everyone running for the president of the United States. Well, I'm going to take it back just a little bit here. So we have, some local races going on, and one of the local races we have going on is for sheriff, okay? And there is a gentleman that has had lots of time. He spent time working for the sheriff's department. He is now a county commissioner, and now he's running for sheriff, right? He's put in the time. He's put in the work. He knows how stuff goes together, and he has a plan. You ask him a question, what about this? He'll tell you his answer, what he wants to do, and then he can turn around and tell you exactly how he is going to do it. We have another guy who is running, and he sounds like he is a kid running for class president. He all he says is what you want to hear. And he says stuff like, well, think about a kid being a class president. What are they going to say? Free ice cream for lunch, free parking for everyone, or, every Friday we're going to have a pizza party, all this stuff that he'll just say what the people, their constituents want them, want to hear, but they have no idea or no plan on to do what, to get to the root cause of it or figure out how that's going to be accomplished. And as we look at the presidents, the guys running for the candidates running for the president of the United States, I get really tired of people running for office, and they just regurgitate stuff. They just tell me exactly what they think I want to hear. That's what they do. They just, blah, this is what you want to hear. Blah, this is what you want to hear. And then they don't deliver, or they don't tell me how they're going to deliver it, or how they're going to fix it, or what the root of the problem is, right? Anyone can say what you want, what they think you want to hear. But and unfortunately, that just makes everyone happy. So we got a few people running for president. We obviously got Joe Biden, President Biden. And I'm not going to even really talk about him because what a joke. Okay. And then we have President Trump. And we have President Trump. Donald Trump is running again, and he kind of does the word vomit a little bit. He just tells you what he thinks you want to hear. That's what he does. He doesn't come. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the policies. I'm focused on one policy right now. Let me get that out of the way. I'm focused on the Second Amendment. And I don't think Donald Trump is who you think he is when it comes to the Second Amendment. Does he do good on other stuff? Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. He does. He does. The economy was good under him. All this stuff, right, was good under him. Was the Second Amendment good under him? Yeah, but he didn't enforce. Well, he did bring down some laws that did infringe upon our Second Amendment. We talk about bump stocks and stuff like that. But when he was open and he was talking in front of people, he didn't do or say anything. All he said was what we wanted to hear. He didn't have a plan. And then, you read these articles that in the back rooms when he's not talking to people, I'm trying to find, I got some notes here. He would say how he really felt about different things. I've got, where is it here? I try to find it. I had one article written by David Codrea, and he does some good. He has lots of good articles, good Second Amendment articles, and he wrote this in the Firearms News. As he goes, as president, Donald Trump privately pushed for banning AR-15 rifles. Trump was and is a big defender of the Second Amendment rights, but he constantly would say things either on the air or off the air that kind of push to the point of, how does he really feel? And so you got to keep that in mind. He did take away the bump stocks, and the bump stocks they're just a piece of plastic, right? And they weren't that important. But what did he do? He gave in. He compromised. We shouldn't compromise. And so he did some good stuff. But here's what he did that was kind of questionable. Here's some audio clips that I found that I will play. Here you go.
In your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps. But the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court. Because
Take
that's
the
another
firearms
system,
first.
Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
So there you go. I mean, he's all about it kind of refers to the fact that they're kind of talking about some red flag type laws and what should be done. And he's like, take the firearms first, then go through due process. Well, that doesn't bode very well for gun owners. And he said that. He honestly said that. Now, if Joe Biden had said that, we'd come freaking unglued. But because it came out of Trump's mouth, we just most people either didn't notice it or they just let it slide. And here's another one for you.
This is a bit of a pivot, but with gun violence and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that state governments and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights. Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and the ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
Yeah, as you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing. And NRA, I went with them and they said it doesn't mean anything. Or actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that. There's been nobody that's protected the Second Amendment, as you know, like I have. I protected it through thick and thin, not easy to do. But we have a very big mental health problem in this country. And again, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger, it's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our
So let's go ahead and I hit the button twice on accident there. Let's go ahead and break that down. So he said some stuff that I agreed with, and he said some stuff that I didn't agree with. All right. Then I just stated it. The bump stock it's just a piece of plastic. It's a toy, right? But what happened? They still came in and he banned it. He banned it on what? Recommendations of the NRA. Okay, the NRA is nobody now. We know that. They are crap. They are trash. They are absolutely horrible, right? And if we know that they do what they compromise. They aren't who they say they are. They waste our money. Yet Trump follows them around like a puppy on a leash. Okay, and he went ahead and took your bump stocks. I didn't have one, but took our bump stocks. Okay, but what I did agree with was he said what? There is a mental health crisis in this country, right? And it is not the gun that presses the trigger. It is the person holding the gun that presses the trigger and fires said gun. I do agree with that 100%. But if you listen over and over and over and over and over again, what Trump says is he sounds like Leroy off the local gun forum, right? He just keeps reciting those same phrases that you hear all the time. And that's good and yay. But does he really get it? And does he can state all he wants that there's a mental health crisis in this country. And there is. And I'm not saying we should ban guns because we should not. But we need to figure out how to address the mental health crisis. And that leads me to trying to figure out as to why there is a mental health crisis. Why is it? When did it start? What has changed? Right? And there is a guy that I've been following that runs for president, and he kind of impresses me. I know I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet, but I like what this guy has to say when it comes to the Second Amendment. And that is RFK Jr. And I want to play, I got 2 audio clips that I'm going to play, and it's fascinating. This guy knows his stuff. He has a plan in place. He has an idea for what causes this or what could cause this, and it sounds like he is going to go down the path and figure out what is going on here instead of just shouting out random phrases like the Second Amendment is good, the Second Amendment is beautiful, we have a beautiful Second Amendment. I don't care about any of that. I want to know what is causing this. Get to the root of it, and let's fix it, right? Let's not take the guns away. Let's fix the problem.
Where do you stand on this?
I'm not taking anybody's guns. Oh, there was a time in my life, my father was killed by a gun. My uncle was killed by a gun. I saw what it did to my family. Mm-hmm. I've seen what it does to other people. I've spent years of my life in rural areas in this country, and lived for 2 years in Alabama. I've lived in South Dakota. I grew up in Virginia. And I know that there's a gun culture in this country that sees that as an existential right.
Do you see it as a right? I mean, It is a right. It's in our Bill
Well,
of Rights.
I believe in the Constitution,
Okay.
and it's part of the Second Amendment. So, yeah. I think that we need to work with each other to understand why we're having the gun violence in this country that no other country has. Something happened because, when I was a kid, we had gun clubs in our schools, and people would bring their 22s to school, and they'd leave them in the car, or they'd bring them in, and, nobody was shooting at people. And something happened. There's never been a time in human history where individuals with guns were walking into crowds of strangers, crowds of children, and starting to butcher them. That's never happened.
No.
Suddenly that started happening around Columbine. And the question is why it's happening. Why is it happening in this country? And, Switzerland has a comparable level of gun ownership.
Correct.
Everybody's required to have a gun in their house. And the last mass shooting they had in Switzerland was 21 years ago. The last mass shooting.
Culture is sick.
We have mass shootings every 21 hours. So the question is, why is that happening? And NIH is, under its own rules, is not allowed to look for the answer to that question. There's a lot of things NIH won't do. NIH won't look for the cause of the autism epidemic. They won't look for the cause of peanut allergies. They won't look at any of these things because they're frightened that there's a big shot, a big food processor, big ag, big pharma that is going to be angry at them with the answer. So they simply won't do it. And one of the things they have not looked at, they have a rule. Since 1997, they have not been able to look at the cause of gun violence. When Columbine happened, 5 of the victims of the families sued, I think, Prozac. And, there are SSRIs. I've talked about this. I'm not saying this is the answer. I'm saying it's something that we should look at, that SSRIs have black box labels and benzos that say known to cause suicidal and homicidal behavior.
Correct.
It says that.
Right.
Okay. And we're the only country that has this level. 120 million, 240 million doses a year of these.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, and after Columbine, that's when it started happening. So I'm not saying there's other things that could be too.
Yes. I understand.
It could be video games. It could be social media. There's a lot.
It could be a lot of factors.
There's a lot of factors, but
Correct.
we should know what it is, because one thing we do know, it has nothing to do with the number of guns, because there hasn't been any legislation out there that has diminished or increased
Correct.
the number of guns during that period. It's been roughly constant. Oh, if you have a scientific mind, which I do, I'm looking for the variables that change during that period.
Right.
And that's what the CDC ought to be doing. And now, because I'm having this conversation with you, I'm going to get ridiculed. I'm going to, that Kennedy said that SSRIs are calling it, which I've never said.
No, it is. It's reasonable to put that on the table.
Should make sense to everybody in the world, which is, let's figure out why that's happening, and not, and then deal with it. And let's make sure we know what the culprit is.
So there you go. I mean, that guy, he has an idea. He talks about what could be the root cause, and he possibly has a plan moving forward if he gets into office. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's quite honestly more than I've heard from Trump. More than I've heard from Trump. What he does? He takes the bump stocks. Behind closed doors, he talks about nobody needs an AR-15. Take the guns first, due process second, right? This is what he talks about. He does say there's a mental health crisis, which there is. But why? That's not the root of the problem. What has caused that to the point where someone will walk into a school or walk into a theater or walk into a grocery store and just shoot the place up? We've got to get to the root of the problem. Now, we've got one more quick audio clip of his that I will play.
We had gun clubs in my schools, and people came to schools with their rifles.
Really?
And yes.
Was anybody ever a threat?
No. And no, they're never in human history.
Do you think it's video games or?
Well, let me say that because I think that's something that should be looked at.
I saw Grand Theft Auto and there's a 7-year-old kid having fun beating up a prostitute and shooting at a cop. To me, I'm like, that can't be healthy.
My kids even navigated it. And, the availability of porn and all that stuff on the internet. Now there's all kinds of stuff happening in your house and you have no idea what world your kid has entered. But something happened because there's never been a time in human history when strangers would walk into a gathering of children and just started shooting them. There's always been a proliferation of guns in our country. For example, Switzerland. There's a gun in every home in Switzerland. It's the law. And
they make it mandatory for you?
Yeah.
Why?
It's self-defense. The last mass shooting they had was 21 years ago. We have them every 21 hours. So it's not the guns. You should be looking at it. NIH has a rule that they passed in 1997 that forbids any money being spent to study the etiology of gun violence. So they don't want to know. And I will change that rule.
So there you go. I mean, I don't know what you want, but that sounds like that's what I want my presidential candidate to say, right? Is he just saying it and not going to do anything about it like everyone else? Yeah, I suppose. He could be. He's a politician, right? But when you go and you choose who to vote for, you got to go with your gut, and there's always a chance. I mean, they all turn around and screw you one way or another. But that's, I'm not. Maybe, I think I'm more of an expert on the Second Amendment than I am on anything, not from, against anyone else, but than I am on anything else. And that's where my passion lies, and that's what I study, and that's what I listen to, and that's my livelihood. So, I tend to just focus on that issue, and that issue is very important to me. So I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it out there, and I do know that not a lot of people. There's a lot of people that do not use TikTok, or if they do not admit it, because according to some of the conservative guys, even locally, right, that's just a big Chinese get your information type of. It's stupid. It's all dumb. But anyhow, all 4 of those clips are clips that I have gotten off of TikTok, and there is some informative stuff out there. So there you go. You heard it. Do with it what you want. You got to, vote your conscience, vote your heart. So we'll just go from there. So I do appreciate you listening to that. I sometimes I just don't like getting super, super political. And this one I've been struggling with for about a week. But there you go. Share this with your family and friends, especially if you like the podcast. I do appreciate that. That's how we grow. That's how we get better. And, the more downloads we get and the more subscribers we get, it just helps me get out here and give you guys more podcasts. I need to get a little more constant at it. Sometimes when numbers go down, you don't stay as encouraged as you normally would. But there you go. I appreciate it all, guys. I do follow us on all the social medias. If you got any comment or questions, you can call me. You can text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. Thank you for listening, and everyone have a good week. Bye.